Here we go. Well, good morning, everybody. So today we're going to talk about preparing for our listing appointments. We did the CMA before. We're going to go over the CMA, but we're also going to go over things that you should be checking online. So you guys can follow along once you guys get your logins and stuff like that. You'll be able to sort of get used to the system, but you're going to get a peek into what you're going to see when you log in and tools that you have access to. So what's the biggest thing for our listing appointments that we need to prepare for, right? So some pitfalls, I'm just going to start sharing the screen here. Where did I log in? I logged in over here. All right. So we're going to go and pretend like we're going to a listing appointment today, right? So we're just going to pick a random property. I'll pick one somewhere in the area here, perhaps around the office. Okay, so our office is in EO4, Toronto. And I'm just going to start from scratch. You know, I have other CMAs I could just go over and show you guys, but I really want to do it from the beginning so you guys can see the process that I would use to go ahead and put together my listing appointment. So someone's calling me today and we're just going to pretend that they're calling me from a property we're going to randomly pick. Okay. So let's pick this one, this raised bungalow, 42 Lewiston Road. Okay, so my clients call me today and they've said to me, hi, you know, I'm from 42 Lewiston Road. I want you to come and tell me a little bit about listing my property today. You know, we're going to be interviewing a couple of agents. Okay, so the first thing I want to say to them is, how many agents are you interviewing? Oh, well, you know, a few. Okay, well, when are they coming? Well, I'm seeing one tomorrow afternoon and one tomorrow in the evening. I'll be like, okay, what time is he coming? 6. Great. Can I come tomorrow evening at 7? I want to try and be the last person there because if I'm the first, they're not necessarily going to make their decision. And I always try to be the last to try and really close them. If that happens not to be the case, then you're just going to try and close them anyways. And we'll talk about some different closes that we can do. But first of all, that's sort of the booking time. Now we're going to go in and we're going to say, okay, 42 Lewiston Road. Tell me a little bit about your property. Okay. So they're going to say, oh, I purchased it, you know, so many years ago. Just tell me a little bit about it. So when I'm looking at this property here, oh, I'm going to let someone in. I want to see what they've done different since they purchased it. Right now, I'm looking at one that's currently available, but usually you look at the unavailable property and you're going to say, okay, since you bought it 5 years ago, tell me a little bit about it. Well, it was a 3-bedroom. Now we made it a 3+1. And, you know, we did some renovations inside. And so when you come, you at least have a little bit of idea about the property, right? The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into here and I'm going to go to Geo Warehouse. Okay. And the reason I'm going to go into Geo Warehouse is because I want to realize that when I go to this listing appointment, who needs to be present? Okay. Right now, Mary Elizabeth has called me, right? She's on the phone with me and I'm going to say, okay, Mary, thank you so much for calling me. That'd be great. I see that you and Scott Watson are on title. Is this a relative of yours, someone you're a partner in business with, your husband? Oh, yes. No, it's my husband. Great. Is your husband going to be present tomorrow evening? Okay. Why do we need to do this? Pitfall when you're on the phone as a new agent, especially. I've shown up for appointments before and I just want to stop you guys from wasting your time right off the bat. If I go to the appointment tomorrow with Mary and I sit there for an hour and I think it's a slam dunk and I go to get the signature, I need both people's signatures to sell this property. So that's why I'm going to always go into Geo Warehouse and check title, because now I know that Mary and Scott need to be present for this appointment. If Mary and Scott are not present for the appointment, I'm not getting the listing tomorrow. And I'm going to go and I'm going to waste my time there because Mary's going to turn to me and say, oh, well, my husband's still at work, or you'll have to come back when Scott's around and then we can sign the paperwork, right? In the meantime, lots can happen. Other agents can call them back, try and offer them better deals. Something is going to fall through the cracks. Their cousin's going to suggest, oh, you should use the agent that I used. You know what I mean? To sell my house. Something's going to happen. So always, always, always go in and check your Geo Warehouse first. You want to make sure who's on title and then all people are present for that listing appointment. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing that we're going to start doing is we're going to say, okay, so what is the value of this property? How are we going to figure out what the value of this property is? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new window. And we're going to go into CMA. We're going to create a new CMA for this person now. So new, and I'm just going to call it 42 Lewiston. Let's see. Back up here. 42 Lewiston. Okay. It's a residential freehold that I'm creating a CMA for. So we're going to come in, and I already remember that the lady's name was Mary, but I've forgotten her last name. So just pull up Geo Warehouse again. Okay, so Mary Stubbings and Scott Watson are my clients here. So you just have to fill in some very basic information. So I just usually fill out the first and last name. I don't bother filling out the address because it's their primary address. They're living there. They're calling me from it. So I'm just going to say that I'm not going to fill out their address for this because it's going to be the subject property anyways. So Mary and Scott Watson. That's all I'm going to put. Okay. So the next thing after that basic information for your client is you're going to want to have a subject property, because when you create your CMA, it's going to give you comparable properties and it's going to spit out a really good report for you to present to your client, right? It's going to show you line by line, and I'll show you when it spits out the report, how it compared, how many days on the market it was, what prices it was listed for, what prices it sold for, and stuff like that. So you need to put a subject property in. So you're going to say, I want to include a subject property in this. Now you can go and you can fill out all of this information. So there's a lot of times people might call you, they might be an original owner, maybe owning from 1967. Now our database goes back to actual sales in about the 80s, but there are ones that are posted earlier, and you'll find it'll just say they bought it for $2 or something, but at least you can see the title and everything, but you can't find out much more about the property. So you might want to ask them some more questions to help you fill in all these boxes. But a super easy way, if there has been a sale in the last 40 years since 1980, which a lot of them are, you can go back into the MLS listing. You can just copy the MLS number. You can go back into your CMA. You can paste the MLS number and you can say use. So as you can see, it's going to autofill almost everything for us on the screen. So it gives us the address, 42 Lewiston. It's giving us the district code. It's telling us it's a detached brick, that the basement has an apartment in it. Let's see, it's a separate entrance probably. But you're going to want to pay attention and modify anything that your client says they've changed over the years. So if this said, for instance, 3-bedroom, and they said, no, we added a bedroom in the basement, you're going to want to add the +1. And then, when we did the basement, we added a 3rd washroom. Oh, great. So I'll change 2 to 3 here. Right? Go ahead and change everything. The thing you have to make sure of is, especially if you're pulling a really old listing, very often it's going to have suggested list price range. This is going to show up in your report. So if you're picking a really old listing, say one from the 80s, this is going to be a severely low amount. You have to remember when you're using an old MLS number to go in and erase this amount, because it's going to be $120,000 and your client's going to go, are you crazy? You think my house is worth $120,000 and the taxes are only $200 on the property, right? So you have to go and you have to remember to erase this, not show the suggested price. You can show the suggested price if you're going to offer a price in the report. I generally don't put a firm price in here unless I've already walked through the property, because a lot of times when you're preparing for your listing appointment, you're going to see that you're going to realize that you haven't seen the property before. So I don't put a firm price here, because sometimes you're very surprised, because a lot of times you get people on the phone, they go, I fully renovated the property last year. What I hear is fully renovated versus what the client thinks is fully renovated may not reflect the numbers that I've put in the report. So I don't usually put final numbers in my report until I sit down with them and sort of see what the property looks like and get a feel for what they're thinking, where numbers wise for their listing.
Don't forget, there's if people renovate their home, right? And there's a buyer coming in and says, oh God, I don't like the kitchen cupboards. I gotta take them out and put my own style. So even if the seller spend 15, 20,000 or 30 on the kitchen cabinets, and the buyer doesn't like the color for some reason, or the flooring, and he's gotta tear them all down, he's gotta spend another 50, 60,000 for new kitchens, right?
Yeah.
So if it's it doesn't appeal to the buyer.
To taste, yeah, taste is the thing. But if they've spent thousands of dollars and they put, stone floors and quartz countertops in, and it's really updated, whether it's someone's taste or not, it's still a renovated property. But I'm talking more like if somebody says to me, I fully renovated my place, I'm expecting to walk into that showpiece that's, I can go in and stage and it's going to be a big bidding war on. Maybe they just picked up the vinyl and put down some laminate, you know what I mean? Or freshly carpeted the stair. It's really discerning for what somebody thinks is fully renovated versus what I walk in as an agent and I'm expecting. That's the only reason I kind of leave that space blank for a little while until I go and I see the house and I talk to the client and I realize what the state of the property is, right? Like, for instance, my listing there, I just had on Ritson, my client said to me, oh, it needs some work. And we all saw the listing. It was a complete gut job. I was shocked. I was like, needs some work. This is practically a tear down. You know what I mean? So you have to just be careful of putting prices in before you view properties, right? Unless you're really certain of the price. So then you're going to go and you're going to scroll down. And as you're going to see, your realtor information is in there. Right? It'll be automatically in there from TREB. So make sure your TREB profile is updated and everything is correct on there. So your client can contact you. Make sure it doesn't have an old cell phone number and email. So always be going in and checking your profiles. It does spit out a title page here for you. Okay. And it also spits out kind of like a preliminary, thank you for letting me come and present this to you letter. I'm going to also share my own personal CMA with you guys so I can show you sort of how I sandwich what it spits out here in MLS Stratus and how I kind of flower up my report and what I leave with my clients. But here's where you're going to add your comparable properties, right? So what you need to do is you're going to go in and you're going to say, what is comparable to this property? So let's see. Lewiston is a 3+1, 2 washroom. My client just told me he put in a third. Great. So 3+1, 3 washroom. I'm going to say no. In Dorset Park, EO4, right? So this is what I'm going to try and look. Something comparable that's sold recently. So what you need to do is you need to go down here where you're going to add MLS numbers in. I lost my place there. Okay. So here is where you're going to add your comparable properties in the CMA report in Stratus, right? 1 second, I'll let some people in. Okay, so bumping me up. So there's a couple different ways. If you've already done your research, you can add the MLS numbers in. So the last time I did the CMA, I did it that way. I'm going to go in and do it different this time for anybody who viewed it the first time. So I'm going to go the search listings route this way. So I'm going to click on here. Oh, before I click on here, just from lesson learned, always save. Every now and then Stratus sort of glitches and you've lost everything you've done up to that point. So I'm just going to do a quick save before I continue on, especially since when I go to search listings, it kind of takes me to a different screen. And sometimes that makes Stratus glitch a little bit. Even the save is taking a little long right now, which is scary. How many people are using the CMA function here? Are you guys using it? I can't stress enough how you guys have to go in and use it. It's such an easy tool. It's literally 5 minutes worth of plugging in your client's information, your subject property, and a couple of MLS listings, and it spits out a beautiful report that looks really professional, like you spent a lot of time on it, right? This is what our fees for TREB are working for. You guys got to go in the back office here and use these tools, right? So we're going to go and search our listings. And I want unavailable properties now. And the reason why is I might throw in an available if I want to show my client what the competition is right now. But right now my client wants to know the value. So I don't care if down the street is up for 1.4 million. If they haven't sold to me, that's not a good comparable because I want to know what something actually sold for. I need something concrete to give my client to say, yes, this is what I think I can sell your property for, right? They can sit up all year at 1.4 million and never sell, right? So I want unavailable for sales. I'm going to go continue. It's going to bring you to our search screen, right? So now I'm just going to go back and I'm going to look at the Toronto EO4 area. Dorset Park. Okay. It's kind of hard with all of these Zoom things up in the way I can't see. So as you can see, it gives me 174 results. Great. I know that I want a detached home because that's the one that I'm comparing.
Put in the like 6 months ago.
Yeah, I'm going to show you exactly. So Sebastian's bringing up a valid point. When you're doing a CMA for your clients, you have to be really mindful of the market that you're in. So season to season, as things are changing, when you do a search in the system, it looks at the past 2 years. It'll bring up everything in the past 2 years. Okay. Unless you're doing archive search, you can go back further, like I said, to like the 80s, for instance. But when you just do a regular search and you're looking at unavailable properties, it'll give you the last 2-year time period. Now, we as agents know that when we're going to do a CMA today for our clients, I can't compare what happened a year ago because the market really bumped up in February, March, things spiked, prices really started going up. So I can't compare to something that sold in June last year. My client's going to go, no, because I know my neighbor got easily $100,000 to $200,000 more than that now. So Sebastian's to bring up a good point. I'll show you how to modify that as well. So right now, I just want to make sure that I'm looking up detached. And I'm looking at a 3-bedroom. And I know that he's put a second bedroom down in the basement, for instance. When I'm comparing, I always put 1 bedroom here because not a lot are +2 or +3, but I want to be able to modify if I find, 3+1s that are similar, and maybe add a little bit more from what they sold because mine now has a +2 or a +3 in the basement, right? And I also want to put in the kitchens here. So 1 + 1 to show that there's a kitchen in the basement, right? And now we're going to go to what Sebastian said. I only want to look at the solds and the sold date. Now, when I've been doing my CMAs for the last couple months, I've only been going back to really, truly the beginning of March or February, because that's what I find is most comparable right now, what's happened in our market. So we'll go back to February and you see I'm left with 16 now. Okay. Now it's not such a sea for me to go fishing in to find out what is comparable to this property, because you can go through thousands and thousands of listings, you get really lost, right? So I'm going to go submit. And from here, I always go over to the sold date. Okay. And I sort once, which is going to bring the oldest listings up, as you can see, February 1st. But then I'm going to sort again. The second sort will bring you the most recent to the top. So you can see there's listings that have sold as recently as July, June in this area, in this pocket, very specifically for the property that we're looking at, right? So we'll start looking at some and we'll see what's similar. Does everybody remember what this 42 Lewiston looked like? So it was a bungalow raised, right? 3+1, 2-bedroom. And we'll just take a quick peek inside. Excuse me. It looks pretty glossy, new floor, right? Nice and shiny, not in bad condition. The paint job doesn't look that bad. I wouldn't say super high-end brand new renovation of the kitchen, but it's not in disrepair. It's got kind of a basic, Home Depot countertop in it. The cupboards are in decent condition, but not top of the line bidding war, ceramic tile here. So not super, super high end finishes. Okay. Now that I have an idea of what that property looks like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to start looking through these. So this was listed at $799 and it sold for $1,065,000, right? I'm going to go in, I'm going to say, oh, okay, this is kind of comparable. It's got newer floors in it. Let's go and see what the kitchen looks like. I always go to kitchens and washrooms. Those are big, as we know, big ticket things that'll push up the value of your home, right? If your kitchen's high-end renovated, right? So this is actually pretty comparable. Look at this. It's got a very similar kind of ceramic floor, Home Depot countertops. I think this is a very comparable property, right? Aside from the fact that it's not a raised bungalow, but it is a bungalow in the area. And it's 3+1. My Lewiston is a 3+2. Remember, I told you on the phone, my client said I added a second bedroom, right? So we're going to pretend that this property is a 3+2 now, right? So this Y Valley is very comparable. So I'm going to click 81 Y Valley. So I'm going to click the box here on the top because I want to mark that one as I'm looking through these. So now I'm going to go to this Flint Ridge 3+2. Oh, that seems pretty similar to my property. Oh, but look at this one now. It's got quartz countertops. You know what I mean? It looks like porcelain floor, brand new renovation. They've knocked out the wall in this bungalow. It's definitely higher end. So I'm going to say that might be a little on the high side, right? Of what's sold right in this pocket. Let's see this one, what this one looks like. So basically you guys are getting the idea. This is what I'm doing. You can't just go and look at sale prices and go, oh, you know what? This one in the area sold for this much. So this is going to sell for the same amount. You have to take your time. You have to do your research and you have to be mindful of finishes on the inside, lot sizes, what style of home it is. We all know in Scarborough, the bungalows tend to go for more than 2 stories. It's just sort of the theme. Everybody likes those big sprawled out bungalows. Double garages are big ticket items. You have to be mindful of the market you're in and the area that you're in, and take the time to go in and do a little research. Because like I say, as a listing agent, you have so many things to worry about. Not only do you have to do a good job for your client, you have to price the property accordingly at a right price, because you want it to sell. The last thing you want is to put your sign in that lawn and that property not to sell, because it doesn't send out a good message in the neighborhood. You're not going to be very popular and draw more sales from that neighborhood. If you're listing, you can list all day long, but unless you're getting that sold up quickly, and that client is talking to their neighbors and saying what a good job you did and how happy they are and how you sold higher, you're not going to be able to pull more listings from that area, right? So let's just go back to this now. So I'm just going in and demonstrating how I would go about doing this, because I want you guys to understand that you should really go in and take the time to look at the pictures, look at the finishes, to take that time for your CMA. But I'm just going to go in, I'm going to select 2 or 3 here really quickly and not look at them, because I don't want to run out of time either. Okay, so I've picked 3 now. Oh, that one's like really not comparable, but it's okay. Pick this one, for instance. So I picked 3 of them now. So the last time when we did the CMA, we pre-searched for these properties. We took the MLS numbers and we copied and pasted them in. Now I've gone directly from the CMA this time. And all I've got to do is go down and say add to comparables. Okay, so it's added those to my comparables list here. Okay, so I can see which ones I'm using for my CMA. And now I go down here and I enter this part where it shows me the comparables side by side. Well, what this part allows you to do is to do adjustments between the properties, and it'll spit out a portion in the report to show you what those adjustments are compared to the properties. So you can like remember, when I looked through the picture, I saw that this was a really comparable one. Okay, so Y Valley and Lewiston I thought are very similar. 3+3, 1+1 bedroom, except mine has 2 bedrooms, right? So from this $1 million listing, I'll say 1 bedroom less. Okay, how much is 1 bedroom less gonna yield me? Now, this isn't a hard and fast. You can just sort of start playing with the numbers and kind of figure out where you're going to get to, but you're going to say this sold for $1,065,000 and it got 1 bedroom less. So I think that we could probably get $20,000 more for an extra bedroom for that rental potential in the basement. Okay, so you see it takes that $1,065,000 and it makes the price for our property now $1,085,000 of what I think my client can get. Okay, then we're going to go to this next property and I'm going to say it sold for $1,070,000, right? And I don't know, we'll just make something up. I forget what the pictures look like. It had a higher end kitchen, but I do have that additional bedroom in the basement. Great. So I think we're pretty even. I'm not going to do any adjustments on here. Okay. And Delbert sold for 1.1. Well, why did they get more? Right? I think they got more because they had a bigger lot. Okay. So, which is not true, of course, according to what we brought up here, but I've just brought up some random listings. So we're just going to pretend this one had a bigger lot. So I'm going to say this one has a bigger lot. And so I'm going to say that'll probably get us about $20,000 less. Okay. Oops, sorry, I forgot the minus. Okay. So I'm just doing a quick save in case it glitches on me. So now I finished my adjustments on the CMA and I'm going to scroll down and you can add different things, attachments if you want, pictures. Maybe your client sent you some new pictures of the basement they did. Maybe you want to include it in the report. Maybe the other listing had an old picture. You went and you took a new picture of the front because they refaced it with brick, whatever you've done. And here you can pick what you want to include in your report. So I'm going to show you everything this report spits out, and then I'll show you how I adjust it for my listing appointments. So if you go here to print, it's going to give you, you can choose print preview, and you can see what it looks like. Okay, so now remember, I went through that extremely slowly, but if I'm getting ready for an appointment, basically what I did can be done in 5 minutes. No, like you guys will get really used to it if you go back and you use the CMA function back here. It can be done in literally 5 minutes. And this is the report it now spits out for you to present to your client. It's got the beautiful title page with a picture. You know, it gives you you and your client and your client your information, how to contact you, right? It spits out this report where, you know, it says thank you for, or sorry, this letter that says thank you for like allowing me to give you a comparative market analysis for your property. It gives you a table of contents. Okay. Subject property details. So, you know, all that stuff that we never typed in, we just copied and pasted the MLS number, right? Subject property photo gallery. So this is all the photos from the old listing, mind you. So you can remind your client, oh, look at, remember that's what your kitchen looked like before you renovated it. Now look how great it looks now, right? It gives you a little talking point for your clients. Here's a side-by-side comparison, which is great because you can look right across the line and see, okay, how many rooms, how many washrooms, how many kitchens, what's the lot size, how does it compare, you know, brick-wise, what did it list for, what did it sell for? Really, really quick at a view glance. I normally also go in and I print all of these individually, because when you print them individually, what I like for the full report, and I tuck them in, I sort of squeeze them in to this report. It's one of the extra things I do is you can look across here and you can see the different finishes. So now I can explain to my client, even though I can't scroll through those pictures, I mean, I can pull up my iPad or my laptop in the meeting and show them the pictures, but from the actual physical report, I printed them. At least I have a quick glance view where I can show them, look, they had hardwood floor and you don't, or you have the quartz counters and they only had like, you know, the basic builder countertop. You can see there's walk-in closet, built-in closets. It'll give you this little extra information here that the quick glance copy doesn't give you, right? The side-by-side comparison. It gives you this comparable summary, which is basically what we just saw, but in a really short form. And now it comes to the adjustments. So this actually worked out nicely with the two I picked, right? So I said that this one had a bigger lot. So we took 20,000 off the price. It got me at about $1,080,000. And this one had one bedroom less. So we put $20,000 more on the price that we think we can sell the property for. Got me to $1,085,000. So now I've taken everything I've compared, everything I've looked at, got it sandwiched in this report, and I can show my client the reasoning why I think that we're going to list it at about $1,080,000, right? I have a really valid point with comparable sales, comparable finishes, and the adjustments page here. The map is a really good tool because a lot of times when your client's sitting there, especially if they haven't lived in the area for a long time, they might say, I don't know where, you know, Kennedy Road is, or, you know, where Dundalk is. You could say, oh, you just pull up the map page and show them it's right in your area. I only looked in your little neighborhood pocket, right? Market statistics report, you know, how much things sold, you can see in comparison. So you can see they're all selling at a pretty steady line right now. You can tell them, you know, it's a fair price, not one selling way higher than the other, right? Days on market report. This is an important report because I always say to my clients, how long do you want to spend on the market? You see, Y Valley and Delbert spent a longer time on the market because I'm just going to throw out an excuse. They listed at true price. So they took time, you know, negotiating. My client goes, no, I don't have time to spend 2 weeks on the market. I got to, you know, be sold in this week. Well, then maybe we'll take the same approach Flora did because they were only 7 days on the market. They set a bidding date within a week and funneled in those offers. So you know what, maybe we'll go with that strategy instead because Flora underpriced it and brought the bodies in, right? This kind of helps you strategize with your client how you want to market the property and how you want to load it on MLS, right? So we can close that for now. Does anybody have any questions? Let me just stop the share for a minute. Oh my goodness, I've got so many things open here. There we go, that's the button I'm looking for. Everybody good online there too? Anybody want me to go over anything, something they missed, something they got lost in, something they're not sure how to do from everything I covered so far online? No? Okay, so also I'm just going to give you, I want to go into the paperwork a little bit. So I'll go quickly over what I do with the CMA. I know I did a whole training on just CMA last time, but I wanted to focus more on preparing for your listing appointment and how I definitely go about it. But I'll go touch on the CMA a little bit. Aside from what we saw in Stratus, what you go in and you prepare just that quick 5-minute report. I know that I've been to so many, not a lot of seminars are happening right now because of COVID with real estate, but I've been to so many, Mike Ferry and Rob Vivian and Craig Proctor. And what are all these guys saying? What's a theme that I heard over and over again as a new agent going and attending all these seminars? So I sort of put it together in a CMA. And they always said, if you answer 6 questions, was the theme. If you answer 6 questions, you're going to get the listing at the end of the day, right? So you have to answer why you, why your firm, how you're going to market the property, commission, what the home is worth, and what's happening in the market. So when we go into Stratus and we fill out the report, it basically only tells you what your home is worth, right? So I'm missing some guts here for my CMA for them to give me a yes, for me to land that listing appointment, for me to close this deal. How do I do that? So what I did is I went in and I added some things to my CMA. And I'm just going to open my own CMA and show you guys and give you a quick share there on exactly what I did. Okay. So I'm just going to stop the share for a second and come back in. I know sometimes when I click multiple screens, you guys lose it online there and you don't see my share. So I just want to make sure you're still with me for the share. So why me is the first one they say. Why choose me? So this is literally what I hand my clients. Why choose me? Why choose Christine Boland? I just took it. I logoed it up. Why choose Christine Boland? I always say nobody outworks me. I like the Energizer Bunny. Go, go, go. I'm going to worry and sick about your property until I get it sold, right? I'll always tell you the truth. I put in just things. I'm not going to go over it in detail like I did last time because I do want to get to the paperwork a little bit, but I just put in, why choose me as your realtor over other realtors, right? And again, all of these pages I print with that Stratus report that's spit out and I sort of bookend them with these, okay? Why choose me? Then I go in and I go, why choose the firm? So I just took a couple of RE/MAX facts. Why choose RE/MAX? We're a really strong brand. Our SEO marketing is, second to none online, right? We're really present worldwide. RE/MAX pushes their listings faster. If I'm searching, condo in Scarborough, it's going to be RE/MAX agent that comes up there. It's going to be their listing over other agents' listings because RE/MAX is just pushing that SEO power online, right? And you guys have to understand the importance of that right now in an online world. When people are doing Google searches, it's really important to have that first page annihilation, right? Especially if you're trying to push your listing over all the other brands out there, right? Oops, there you go. Just clicked out of it. So then they're saying, how will you market the property? So then I go into my marketing strategy, listing plan of action. This is also something I put in there. Oops, not this one. Sorry. Oh, did it do that again? I think when I loaded it last time for the CMA, I didn't correct it. Anyways, my listing plan of action is just saying, I'm going to load it on Treb. I'm going to load it on RE/MAX. I'm going to push it on social media. I'm going to cold call your neighborhood. I'm going to send out flyers, just listed flyers. This is how I'm going to push your property. How am I going to market it compared to other agents? What am I doing over other agents to push your property, right? Then the commission structure, my favorite slide in the universe. I'll go over it real quick. So we have everybody trying to hose us for commission lately. You're going to see the slide 100 times in this office until you guys have it absolutely memorized. It's 5% commission. How do we get 5% commission? How do we walk away without getting hosed for the 1%? Will you do it for 1%? The last agent said he'd do it for 1%. Absolutely, here. So of 5%, I'm not going to touch the co-op side. Co-op side gets 2.5. 2.5 if I don't offer that to co-op. There's a million agents out there going to show all the other properties and not show yours because we're offering less commission. We're not touching that guy's commission. Okay. So we're going to talk about my commission now. My commission is 2.5. Of that 1.25, I split with my brokerage. This is where the public gets a little lost. They think they know, oh, 1%. Oh, okay, no problem. But they don't know what we split with our brokerages. So you can say, you know what, Vaheeson takes all my money, man. He takes 1.25, which is not true. At the end of the day, he's taking the 1.25. Of the 1.25, I'm going to knock off 0.25. Okay. I'm going to knock off 0.25 and I'm going to do it for you for 1%, just like the other guy. No problem. what do we end up with? We all know that 1%, everybody out there is ending up with 3.5 in total. If you explain it to your client like this, hopefully you're walking away with 4.75. Okay. So when you explain this model to everybody and you try and sit down with your client and they understand it in this form, 99% of the time you're walking away with 4.75. I rarely take less for commission, right? Unless I really have a stickler who says to me, no, the other guy said 3.5 in total. Okay, what am I going to do? It's your choice as agents. We're all free agents. We're all independent contractors. I'm never walking away from that listing because 1%, if I don't get it, the next guy's getting it. And I like to remind you guys over and over again, there's so much more from your listings that you get. You get the free advertising with your sign on the one. You get to pick up buyers for everybody calling you for that listing. You get more business from that listing. This is just a nice tool to hopefully help you get more commission at the end of the day, right? So again, I'm going to pull up the slide 100 times. And then what's my home worth, which is what the Stratus report spits out for you right there. And what's happening in the market. So the current market, I update these stats on the regular. Now for training purposes, is probably from the last time I did the CMA. So it's probably not, what are we, August, it's not July's stats, but at the beginning of every month, I'm going to pull up last month's stats and update my CMA every time I do it for my client. So I can just sort of tell them, you know, the average days on market right now is 19. There's 9,042 sales monthly. Average price on MLS is 820,000. These aren't the stats you have to use. These are the stats I use. If you're focusing on condos downtown, maybe you want to throw up those stats. If you're focusing on recreational properties or commercial property, whatever your listing appointment is, you might want to focus on those stats, but I just sort of throw up a general residential. I do mostly residential in Scarborough, right? So, all right. Everybody good with that? Anybody have any questions on that before I go over a little paperwork for the last little bit? Everybody good online? All right, so I'm going to go and share my screen and I'm going to go back into Stratus. Okay, so everybody should be knowing on the fly what paperwork we need for our listing appointments. Okay, you're going to have to just do something to help yourself memorize it every time, because if you're caught somewhere where you need to grab paperwork or you need to create something or something's not working for you in the system, you need to know what you need for the listing appointment. But for the office, I sat and I created templates just to make you guys' life easier. So we went in as an office and we can created just the basic templates that I think you guys need on a regular daily basis. Like if you're doing a very specific commercial property or something that you need really specific, like, you know, vacant land or recreational property where you need a lot of well and septic clauses and stuff like that, you're not going to find it here. But at the end of the day, most of your daily transactions are going to be here in a template form, right? So there's a few ways you can create your documents. For a listing, we're not pulling off of a for a listing appointment, we're not pulling off of a current listing because we're not placing an offer. So the best way to be would be going into your web forms in your transaction kit. The house is always where you create your transaction kits. So all your paperwork can be together in one little house. That's a good way to remember it. And you can always add more forms to that house. So the basic template is going to be there, but if you need an amendment or a waiver or something, you're going to need to push that into the kit. But for now, we're just going to go and start a basic one. And I'm going to click add for new. And I'm going to this 42 Lewiston. Okay. And now I'm going to go into the templates. This is what the office is giving you now, templates that we created. And what I'm doing is I'm doing a freehold for sale listing, right? Because it's a freehold property and I'm listing it. Okay. And I'm going to go create. Now you can take the time and you can fill all of this out ahead of time if you want. There's just a few reasons I don't, because I find when I fill it out on the form anyways, it translates from one form to the other in those spots that I need it. But there's no harm. It's just a wizard that helps you fill out your form. So you can go and put the street number, the unit number, everything in here. But I'm just going to go next. I don't need to put the contract date and everything. I'll put it in the document. This is our brokerage information there. Here it gives me the chance to add extra forms if I need any. Am I putting a schedule on? Am I putting some kind of, waiver or an amendment on? And then done. Okay. So in here is all the paperwork you need to go and list this property. Okay. So you need to know, first of all, individual identification record. Who are these people, right? Are Mary and Scott who they say they are? I know Mary called me on the phone. She said Scott's going to be there. How do I know that this is Mary and Scott now that I'm sitting down with? The first thing you need to do is you need to take a piece of ID before we start signing listing paperwork. Is Mary and Scott who they say they are? Look at their ID, physically take down their information, and make sure that they're the same name as the people on title. You can't list the property unless you're the person on title, right? Even if Scott wasn't on title, what do? Right? We still need a spousal consent signature on the listing. Don't forget that just because the person's not on title if they're a spouse sitting there, right? But you're just going to put the transaction property address, your name, and the date. The basic information is if this isn't some kind of strange, not everyday transaction, you're going to be filling out next to nothing on this report. It's only if there's someone overseas, someone you're not dealing with face to face for some reason. How do I not know that somebody's not sending me this ID online when I'm taking a copy of this? I remember I had someone from England call me just off the blue when I was at Century 21. They picked me off the Century 21 website and they wanted to list a property that they had here. So I had to go really take multiple IDs to ensure that this person was who they said they were and that they were actually the owner of the property. But like I say, for everyday basic transactions, it's just going to be the first name, the address, their date of birth, what their occupation is. As for RICO, you can't just put he's IT. They want you to say he's IT at Bell Canada. They want you to be as specific as you can here. So you want to put down, I usually ask them, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a contractor. Great. Where do you work for? I don't know, Martindale Farms. Great. Contractor at Martindale Farms, right? What type of ID are you taking? Passport, driver's license, the identification number, the issuing jurisdiction, and the document expiry date. Beyond that, you're not really filling out anything else because you're not doing a second or third kind of, check to make sure who they are. If it's someone sitting there physically present with you and they've handed you a basic ID that you see on a regular basis, you're not going to fill out any of this weird third party, second, whatever. You don't need any of that information except that they're a Canadian citizen or resident physically present. That's why you didn't fill out the rest of the form. You don't fill out these medium risk, high risk forms unless there's something that you're dealing with, like you're unsure the person is who they say they are, you're having trouble identifying who they are, determining, right? And that it's residential property. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So from here, you want to sit down? Yeah, go ahead, take a seat over there. We're just finishing up here. We're going over paperwork. All right, so then to toggle back and forth between the forms, you go here. And the next thing you need is working with a realtor. So you need to explain to your client what kind of representation you're offering them, okay? Are you offering them client or customer representation? Well, if you're listing the property, you're offering them client representation, which means you're going to do your due diligence to cover them, to make sure that they're legal, the clauses legally protect them in the transaction, that you're disclosing all valid facts to them about the buyers and stuff like that, right? So what they would do is they would sign as the seller. You put their name up here. We have Remax Ace already filled out there for you guys. And you get their initial here that they're representing, you're representing their interests and their signature and the date. Okay. And now we never used to have to, but you have to give your client a copy of the working with a realtor now, right? The next thing you're going to sign with them is that listing agreement we were talking about. So the listing agreement here, you get them to sign to put up on MLS, right? I'll have to do another day of paperwork because we're running out of a bit of time here, but it's basic information on here for your client. Quick tidbit. And like I say, just like that commission split, I always put 5% here. I don't leave it blank for my appointment till I negotiate, because when I put 5% here, my client physically sees me slash it out and change it to like the 4.75 or the 3.5, whatever you're ending up with. And I make them initial it on purpose. So they see that they're aware it's 5 and I am reducing it for them. It's an important thing. It's an important process to go through with your clients at the end of the day, right? Instead of just filling it out there after you've negotiated it. All right. So you have your listing agreements. And like I said, there's a spousal consent part here. So if there's a spouse sitting there, I'm going to make them sign this part, even though they're not person on title. It's important because they have spousal rights to the property. And then the MLS Data Form. So the MLS Data Form, I pre-fill what I can before I go to the appointment. There's things you just don't know, like you've got to wait for their tax information. If it's a condo, you have to wait, verify their condo fees haven't gone up since they last purchased it. If you're looking at old listings, but you can fill out 90% of this before you go. You have to get your client to sign on it. Only the dark pink areas need to be filled out 100% for you to be able to load this listing on MLS. Your client needs to sign off on it though, to make sure that the details are valid. So you can show you did your due diligence to try to ensure the taxes were correct, the lot sizes were correct, the square footage was correct, the finishes, whatever you said were, like your client might tell you it's porcelain and it's ceramic, different things like that, but you're going to get their initial and get them to sign on it. The best part is everybody kind of winces and they go, oh, I hate filling out this MLS data form. But the best part is once your MLS data form is filled out, once you go to load that listing, it's a piece of cake because they added this handy button on top here now. And I don't know if everybody knows this. Where did I lost my pointer there. I just want to show for people online looking. I don't know if everybody knows, but you can go to this icon here. And when you push this button, it loads your listing on MLS with all the information in there. We used to kind of have to do a double data entry before they added this button, but now this is a lifesaver. So you just go in and you push that button and it's going to load that MLS listing for you. Saves your time. You don't have to drop the MLS listing off and wait for front desk to enter the listing. As soon as you're ready, push the button, it's going to load it. It's going to make you verify some details and add some more, a little bit of information, but it'll load all the dark pink parts that you've added, right? A quick touch on, again, the SPIS, distribute to DDX, IDX. SPIS, you're usually going to click no. We don't get our client to fill it out. Distribute to DDF, IDX is going to be, for that web portal. If anybody like Zolo or Zillow or House Sigma is subscribing to Treb, if you click yes, it's going to automatically go to those websites that are subscribing to Treb, right? Distribute to internet, usually you want to say yes, unless your client doesn't want it on the internet for some reason, right? Display address on the internet, again, you're going to say yes, because you want the exposure, you want people to know where the property is. Permission to contact listing brokerage to advertise, that's up to you if you want other agents to contact you. I usually click yes, exposure is good for me, right? Contact after expired, again, you're going to want your clients most of the time to say no. You don't want other agents to contact your clients after the listing has expired. Yes.
So how come I see the listings have to expire without agents? Does that mean they can start the?
Well, that goes, I don't do as I do, or don't do as I say, do as I do. So we all know that when I talk to you guys about catching leads, we're chasing expireds. Even if it says no, we're chasing those expireds. But that's another story, another day, when we're talking about getting leads and generating more business. So yeah, Saraf.
Which one of the DDIF, DDF,
IDX,
the internet thing? One of them, when you click it, it shows up as this is a linked property on the MLS. Which one is it?
And that's just for link houses. So when you click on, okay, because it's just a little checkbox link, a lot of people were missing to tell their client that this is a linked property when they were doing purchases. Then their client goes to say modified and they can't because, the foundations are stuck together, right? So what they did is now when you click link, it automatically comes in the client remarks right there bold. So you know that it's a linked property. You can't miss it now. It's not just a check.
This is a new development, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it never, not new, but it is newer. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just because like some people were getting sketched out because they're like, oh, what does this mean? Like, why is it linked? Is it linked with something else or blah, blah, blah? Can you get rid of it? And then like, I wasn't sure what I was doing that was making it come up.
Make sure you don't click on the link, because if it's not a link house and it's a fully detached, that's the only time link comes up at the bottom in the description. I'll show you after, don't worry, we can log in.
Okay.
Yeah. So does anybody have any questions? Anybody online? Everybody good? Everybody followed along? Everybody ready for their listing appointment this week? Pull in some new listings this week? No, everybody's good? Well, you guys remember I'm here if you need me. If you're preparing for your listing appointment and you're trying to muddle through the CMA and you get stuck or something, just let me know. Give me a call. I'm sure I can help you troubleshoot even over the phone. If you guys are stuck and you want to shoot me a text, no problem. And have a lovely week. Get some listings. Bye, everyone. See you.
Thanks, Christine.